Hello everyone and welcome back to Jacqs. Thanks for joining me today. I will be sharing my design team project for Country Craft Creations using Winterland by Echo Park. Now let's get started. So here's the project that I have created. I love how this turned out. I did some techniques in this to make it a little more wintry, and I think that you're going to love them. So this is a 7x9 mini album. It has a 2-inch spine. And if you want to know all of the materials that I use, I will have the haul linked down in the description box, as well as links to all of the products that I used. So for this project, I embodied Tiffany. She is one of the Country Craft Creations designers, and she is our matting queen. She double mats everything. And I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I did it. And I love how it looks, but I'm not sure I'll do it again. It's a lot of work. It's really gorgeous though, because in this particular design that I've created, it gives you a nice wintry, snowy feel. And that's what I was going for. So I used black artisan cardstock as my base for all of my pages and my cover. And then I used my colors Polar Bear, which is kind of a shimmer or glimmer cardstock. And that's the white that you see here next to the black. And then we have the wonderful Winterland paper collection on top. This is my absolute favorite paper from this collection. It's so gorgeous. Now, if you take a close look around the edges of the paper, you're going to notice a little white effect. And that is my faux snow that I have added on to the pages. You'll see that throughout the entire album. I wanted to just have that winter snowy feel. And it was so fun to do that. I've never done that before on a full album, and I'm loving the way it turned out. I hope that you will take the time to try that technique. I think you're going to enjoy it as much as I did. It just gives a little something to the entire album. And that's the kind of feeling that I wanted it to have. So I used some of the chipboard pieces up here at the top. And then I have some of these sticker elements here and here. Here's another chipboard piece. I love this little snowman, so cute. Here what I did was layered some of the 4x4 journal cards. They're matted and staggered to create that design. I'm just loving this whole front cover. Added some enamel dots here, and that is the front. For the spine, I just added some stickers and an enamel dot at the top here. And then on the back, here's that gorgeous paper. I created a pocket, added some stickers, snowflakes, one of the border strips, and then 2 little tags in here. This is one of the 3x4 journaling cards. And then this one was created using the Heartfelt Creations album tags and accents. I don't know if that's still available at Country Craft Creations. I will link it below if it is. And then this cute little thing here is like a pocket, so you can tuck things down in there. But there's plenty of room to add more here. I just love the idea of that pocket being on the back. But here you can really see the faux snow effect. I just love it. With it up against the white shimmer, it just looks really good. So this is a 3-page mini album, and I've done some fun things inside. So let's go in and check them out. On the inside front cover, what we have here is a little bit of a slider closure. I love this little polar bear, so of course I had to use him. He is one of the chipboard elements. So this flips up, and this one flips down. And then what we have here are 2 accordion pull-outs where you can put 4x6 photos to 3x4 photos. Lots of different ways that you can do that. So it's hard to show you. Okay, so it pulls out, and if you pull it toward you, you get 2 areas. And then if you pull it this way, you get 4 areas to add photos. So I hope that you can get the gist of that. And then the top piece does it as well. Fold out 2 areas, fold toward you. It's kind of the opposite. Then you get 4 areas to add photos. These just fall down onto each other. The polar bear will hold both of them. There's no magnets included. It's just a slide lock. And then here are our pages. Of course, I had to do a shaker. This does make the page, you know, a little bulky, but it's so fun, right? I just love having that in there, especially when it says let it snow, and then that's what it's doing. I talk about all of these supplies that I use to create everything in this mini album in the tutorial following this portion of the video. So I hope that you stick around, learn how to make it, and how I did everything. So this little shaker is a magnetic closure. It lifts up. We have an area for a photo here, and we have a little pocket down here. There's just a little tag I made with some of the stickers. I wanted there to be areas for journaling as well as photos. This will flip open to the right. We have a nice area here that you can add photos on top of, or just leave it like that. We have a great little 6x4 journal card here. This flips up. Nice area for photos here. And for the flip up, I did something fun. I added an element back here, which we'll get to. The front pocket has 2 little tags in it, a 3x4 journaling card and another little tag that I included. I didn't mat it or anything so that you could add photos on both sides. And then here's that little pocket that I added to the top, and these adorable little tags. They're so cute. I love them. I just love the whole idea of having something that was hidden underneath the little flip up and that little pocket there. It's just so fun. This is magnetic closure here as well. For our next page, we have Walking in the Winter Wonderland. This flips up, and then you have 2 areas for photos. This also flips open to the left. We have a little side pocket here where you can add photos, journal cards, memorabilia. And then in the center, we have a belly band. I added this tag. For the tag, I couldn't decide whether to use black or white, so I just kind of glued 2 tags together. I kind of like that. It's kind of fun. Added some stickers to it, and then just tucked it down in there. You could put larger pieces in here if you wanted. Of course, I had to have this little penguin on here. I added this little hello as if he's talking to us. I love it. This turned out really cute. So that has a magnetic closure as well. For our next page, I'm using a tag as the closure. A little baby, it's cold outside. Great place to journal. You could add a photo here. Cute little fox. These are little pockets, and inside they have the same type of tag. You can add a little photo here to the front, and then these flip open to the right where you'll have an area for photos. And then this whole area you can add photos, or you could tuck photos in there. And then remember, these close so you can tuck photos through the top as well. For this page, I used jute twine as a closure. I show you how to make this. Only bad thing is it kind of sheds. But what I've created here is a journal card waterfall. So there were 2x2s, 4x4s, and then 4x6s, and that's how I did the waterfall. I just love this staggered look. So when you flip this down, you have an area to add a photo here. an area for a photo here, and then of course here. And then you have this large area here. You could add one large photo, smaller photos, however you'd like to do that. And then this just threads back in there and is just like a loop closure. There we go. For this page, we have a little half flip out page. I again use the tags with the black and the white, adding the snowflakes there. Here is the other side. I added Winter Wonderland sticker down here. The paper in this collection is absolutely gorgeous. I loved all of it, but maybe one, and that's saying something. Here I've added just another plain tag for you to add your writing, your photos. And then we have a double stacked pocket. So back here is another pocket. For this one, I just used some scraps to create this tag. Just super cute, and some stickers. And this is one of the journaling cards that comes in the kit. I love having the stacked pockets there. And then on our last page, Stay Warm and Cozy chipboard piece. I love this, especially with the faux snow around the page. I hope you've noticed that throughout the album, especially here you can see it. I just love that whole effect. And then this tag acts as a closure for the top, which flips open. See here, I've added the snow as well. Just so cute with the little snowman there. But like I said, this flips open to the left. This one flips open to the left as well. Great place for 4x4 photos. On this side, I have two 3x4 journal cards, and they are held closed by my little page lock that I created. And then these flip out, and you have two areas here for photos and two areas here. Underneath these flip outs, I created a double pocket. And then my little page lock, you put these smaller legs into the pocket, and the larger one goes out over the area you want to stay closed, and it keeps it closed. And there you go. Here is the back inside cover, and I had to showcase the penguin, of course. I love the faux snow on this page, especially with the snowflakes. Super cute. This is a magnetic closure. And when you open this up, we have a 4x6 flip open, kind of it's like a waterfall, but it's not staggered. So you open to the left, two areas for photos. Open this to the right, two more areas for photos. You open this to the left, two more areas, and again to the right, two more areas. Lots of room for photos. And that's it. That's my Winterland mini album. I love it, love it, love it. I hope that you love it as well. And if you can't stay and make this project with me, make sure to bookmark it and come back and try it again another time. This album itself and all of the design elements that I've included could be incorporated in any theme that you might wish to create. It doesn't have to be Winterland. And you could do that faux snow effect on any project. It's just mixed media, and it would go with a lot of different themes. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you can't stay for the tutorial, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. For those that can stay, let's get started. Now we're going to work on our pages for our mini album. There are 3 pages in total, and I'm using black artisan cardstock that is 12 by 12. Typically I use a metal stylus when I'm scoring on the scoreboard, but today I thought I would use the new scoring pencil that I got in my design team package and see how that works for me. I'm really excited to use this. I'll have this and all of the other supplies linked down below for you. So the first thing we're going to do is score at a 1/2 inch. And then at 3/4 inch. Our page itself is 6.5 inches wide. So our next score mark is 7 1/4. We're going to rotate our page once to the right, and then we're going to score at 3 1/2. And score the next two 12 by 12 cardstocks the same way. We're going to take one of our 12 by 12 pieces of cardstock that we just scored, and now we're going to do some cutting and getting this prepared. So with the 3 1/2 inch block area at the bottom of the page, we're going to cut out this area here where we have 2 score lines. So here is our 3 1/2 inch score line going across. We're going to cut out the 1/2 inch and the 1/4 inch score line area. So on the 3/4 inch score line, we're going to cut that out all the way up to the 3 1/2 inch score line. And then we're going to cut across. And what we've done then is cut that area out. Now we're going to go over to the next score line that's going vertically, and we're going to cut on that line up to the 3 1/2 inch score line going across. Now the 1/2 inch is going to be our hinge, so let's go ahead and fold back on that and burnish. And we can go ahead and burnish on the 1/4 inch as well. That's going to be like a gusset. Just allows some extra room between our hinge and our page. We're creating an L hinge for these pages. On our next score line, going all the way down, we can fold over. When we fold over on our cardstock, if we look down here at the bottom where we put a cut into the paper, you could see right here is like a little hangnail or something. I would suggest going ahead, taking your scissors and trimming that back. And you'll see you'll need to trim all the way down. That's where we cut it, and this way it'll just make sure that everything is the same size. Now, if you don't have that, then don't worry about it. Now what we can do on the bottom, we're going to take this piece and we're going to fold up. Go ahead and burnish that down. Now I'm going to fold this over to the right, and I'm going to take this bottom piece and we're going to fold this up. Now, what I would advise here is to make sure to see where you've cut, and if this is going over your score line, you may want to trim that back. See how mine is going over just a little bit? I'm not a straight cutter, so I need to trim that just a little bit. And on this side, you want to make sure, yeah, this one's good. It's all flat here. So just ever so slightly right there. Let's check it again. Yeah, that looks much better. See, it all lines up now. Now we're going to add a piece onto the front of this. So you're going to need to cut out one piece of cardstock that measures 6 1/4 by 4 3/4. We're going to turn this to be the short side across the top, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Now we can go ahead and fold and burnish this. This piece is going to get attached to the top of our inside page. So we can actually go ahead and do that now. So you're going to add adhesive to the back side of that hinge. And we're going to align it here in between our 3/4 inch score line and our 7 1/4 inch score line. So there'll be 1/8 of an inch on each side of this piece. We're going to align this at the top of our base page here, 1/8 of an inch in on each side. And if you just line that score line up with the top of this page, it'll work out just fine. Go ahead and burnish that down. Now we're going to be gluing this piece here down and creating 2 pockets out of it. But I think we want to wait and add our pattern paper to the back of this first before we glue this down. So for right now, this is all we're going to do on this page. So that is our first page design, and what we end up with is a page that measures 6 1/2 inches across and 8 1/2 inches tall. For the back of page 1, I show this later on in the video, but in the meantime, you can go ahead and cut these pieces. They should be black cardstock if that's what you're using, 6 1/4 by 4 3/4, and score on the short side at 1/2 inch, and 1 piece of 6 3/4 by 4 1/4 cardstock, score on the long side at 3/8 and 1/2 inch. And then I'll show you how we're using these pieces later on. Now let's move on to our second page. What we're going to do here is cut off the 3 1/2 inch area at the bottom of our page. So you want to cut this down to where it's 8 1/2 inches tall. Since we have our cutter out already, let's go ahead and take our piece and turn it to where we have the one singular block at the top. We're going to put this in our cutter, or you can use your scissors. I'm just doing it this way because it's already out. And at 4 1/4 inches, I'm going to make a cut all the way up to the score line, the very first score line going horizontally. Now, I didn't go all the way up because I want to be sure I got it right. And now what we can do is fold and burnish all of our score lines on our 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, folding back on those, and actually just kind of flatten those back out. For the right hand side, we're going to take these 2 pieces and we're going to fold over toward the left and burnish those. Now on the fronts of these 2 pieces, we're going to create pockets, and we're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock that measure 5 by 4 1/4. On the long side, we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Now let's go ahead and fold and burnish on the score lines we just created for these 2 pieces. Now the way that I created these, I made it so that we could attach the hinge to the back side of this page. It's like a 1/2 page, right? So it will go over like this. Now, as you can see, I cut it to be 1/4 inch shorter than the actual width of the page. That's because I want us to have easy access in and out of the pocket. Now, if you would rather create a decorative edge, you could do that here. You could also use a punch to create a 1/2 circle and have that at the top as well. Or if you wanted to make it the full width of this 1/2 page, you could do that also. This way, it'll be easier than trying to figure out how to cut around that 1/2 circle. So that's how that's going to look. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to make mine a decorative edge until I actually get to that point, but probably not. Okay, so now let's go ahead and attach these. What we're going to do is add adhesive to the inside of the hinge. Just going to flip this open and bring that up to the score line, but not over. Lining everything. I hope you can see that. It's nice and smooth on both sides, and it goes right up to the score line. I mean, you really even could use this to just be a flip out if you didn't want a pocket, but because there's so many cards in the Echo Park collection, I wanted to really use them all. So that's why I created all these pockets. So we're going to repeat that, adding glue to the inside of the hinge. If you want to test it, just fold over, make sure it still folds, and burnish. It should fold over easily. These will be open. The next thing we're going to do on the inside here is cut a piece of cardstock that is 1.5 by 8.5 inches long. We will be attaching this here to the side and creating this into a side tuck spot. Okay, so these will be folded down. And because this is a tuck spot, we'll be able to put a card in here that would be able to hold down these areas instead of using magnets. But you can certainly use magnets if you want to. So that's the design for this page. Again, I'm not really attaching this until we put our pattern paper down. Now on the back side, we're going to create kind of a waterfall. We're going to be using the journal cards, 2x2, 4x4, and 4x6. And I wanted to have each of them be matted. So we're going to cut down some cardstock. Now I've just used scraps, and I used part of the cutoff piece from this one that we did earlier. So for the largest journal card, you would want your base piece to have 1/8 of an inch border is how I'm cutting them. So if you want 1/4 of an inch, just add 1/4 of an inch to the measurements I give you on both sides. But I'm just doing 1/8 of an inch border on my items. So my 4x6 journal card would fit on a cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 6 3/4. You turn this to be on the long side and you score it at 1/2 inch. For my 4x4 journal card, you need a piece of cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 4 3/4, turning it to the long side, scoring at 1/2 inch. For our 2x2 card, and I'll show you that one, you would need a piece of cardstock that measures 2 1/4 by 2 3/4. Again, we're going to turn this where the long side is across the top and score at 1/2 inch. And then of course, all of those score lines get folded and burnished. So what we end up with is a bit of a staggering in height. So this is something new, you guys. It'll be fun. So we have our 2x2, our 4x4, and our 4x6 that we'll be adding those later. But they're going to go down here. And I think the way we should do this is glue these on to each other, right? So the 4x6 will be glued to the base page. The 4x4 will get glued, well, I'm calling it that, but you know it's bigger. It'll get glued onto the 4x6 cardstock, and then the 2x2 onto the 4x4. I think that would be the best way to do it. So we can go ahead and glue these down. We're going to add adhesive to the outside of the hinge. And I just saw a video that Tamara was doing, and she may be doing something similar. It wasn't planned, is all I can say. But I love how, you know, our creativity just flows in the air. So I'm centering this on my base page. Using my Tim Holtz ruler, I found the center of my 6.5 inch area here. And I'm just laying down my piece. I'm going to, again, take it to the edge. Make sure everything's smooth across there. And then give that a burnish when I think it's good. Yeah, I think that's good. Nice and smooth. Now for the 4x4, it'll be easy because these actually have the same width. So again, we're going to add adhesive to the outside. I'm just going to line these up here at the bottom. So I'm just matching those up there at the base. Make sure nothing's going over. You want to check your sides. Make sure it's nice and smooth on each side. And then for our last one, adding adhesive to the outside of our hinge. I think I'll bring my ruler back in. You would center that to where you have 1 1/8 on each side. Again, making sure it's all smooth so you can see that. So for this one, what we're going to do is add like a little tab to the top of this and a little tab up here. And then we're going to use string to create a string closure. And I think I'll wait till I figure out what pattern paper I want to put on here, so then I know what size that I want to use up here. But just so that you know, that's the direction that I'm headed. So that's everything we're going to do with the second page. I'm just going to paper clip all this together until we start adding our pattern paper. For our third page, we're going to cut out the bottom 2 sections here where we scored. So on the second score line, you're going to cut straight up to the first score line, going across, just like we did previously. Now in the next score line, we're going to cut up to the first score line going across. Again, kind of repeating what we've done. We're going to take the larger block at the bottom and we're going to fold that up and burnish. We're going to do the same on the right hand side. Now before we fold this piece in the middle, fold this over and we're going to make a little tick mark at the top. So this is 3.5 inches. And what I want us to do is to go up another 1/2 inch to where it's then a total of 4 inches. From here to our first score line, 4 inches. And we're going to cut a line all the way across to our first score line, going vertically. I only put that little tick mark there so we know that if we're down in this area, that's not the place to be. So you want to bring the top of your cardstock up to 4.5 on your cutter. And then that's where we're going to cut all the way over to the first score line. Try not to go over. I usually stop short, so I don't do that. Because sometimes it's hard to tell. There we go. So just like that, as you can see, I'm going to make just another slight little cut. There. All right. Now, if you want, you can erase this. I guess we really didn't need it, but I just wanted to be sure. It was actually helpful when I put it in my cutter because I saw that immediately and knew I needed to go in the other direction. So this top block, we're going to fold back on the score line and then burnish that down. For this bottom area, oh yes, I was thinking about adding a gusset here. So I'm going to bring in my scoreboard. I'm going to put this in the board and line everything up. I want to have about 1/8 of an inch gusset here. So when this folds over, we're going to fold it over inward. The items that we're adding here could be a little bulky. We're going to do 2 layered pockets, but because I'm now double matting everything, I think that's going to add bulk. And I want to make sure that this folds over and lays flat. So I'm going to open this up. I have it lined up here. As you can see, lined up, and then I'm just going to go over, so you would be going over to the 7 3/8 score mark and making an 1/8 of an inch score line. I'm going to go ahead and carry that all the way down to the bottom. What I'll do is cut out the 1/8 of an inch area that we just put on the smaller flap, but I'm going to leave this all connected here, okay? So we're just going to cut out this 1/8 of an inch area. My lighting is a little different tonight because I had to make a change of how I have my setup. And it's throwing me off a moment. Okay. So I just cut that little sliver right off. Now, if we want, we can fold on these score lines. So we're going to fold over on the first one, and now we can fold over on the 1/8 of an inch one we just created. Might even be easier to fold back and then go the other direction, since that's how I scored it. There we go. Yep, much easier. I might need to readjust my other papers that I cut for this area. Okay, so now we have an 1/8 of an inch gusset. When this folds over, there's going to be plenty of room. I like that. Awesome. To create our double pocket on this side of the page, you're going to need a piece of cardstock that measures 6.5 by 4. You're going to turn it on the short side and score at 1/2 inch. Do not fold that. This is just a guide. So if we fold this over, we have a 3.5 inch pocket. We're going to take this piece that we just cut out, and you're going to line up the score line with the top of our bottom pocket. And this will tell you where to put your next pocket down. And those should line up perfectly there. And then you would end up with a pocket here and a pocket up here. The way that I'm doing these pockets is that this is the width of one pocket and this is the width of the other pocket. I'm not going to leave the center area open so you would put in a long tag. I wanted the shorter tags. So once you have your piece cut, go ahead and add adhesive to the 3 sides. And you can add it to the whole 1/2 inch if you want, or just part of it. Remember that score line is just a guide. I'm going to go ahead and just do the whole 1/2 inch because I wanted the shallower pockets. But that's purely up to you. It's an option. And then I'm going to come back in and put this down. So I'm going to fold this over. I'm going to bring in my top piece. I'm going to line these up to where the top of that score line is at the top of this pocket piece. So you can see that there, okay? So hopefully you can see that here. Here is my score line. And if you look at the top of my pocket goes right up to it. And I'm probably going to put it down a little bit lower so it's not showing, just in case. And then I'm making sure that these sides are aligned and these sides are aligned. This should all be smooth here on the side. If you wanted to, you could even take your ruler and make sure that it is 1.5 inches at the top, and then go ahead and burnish. For the bottom pocket, we're just going to add adhesive to the 2 sides. And fold that over and burnish. Oh, you know what? Let's not do that yet. Hold the boat. Hold the boat. Because we would want to put our pattern paper on here. So I'm not going to do that yet. Okay, well, we probably shouldn't have glued this down yet, but we can pop this end up and it'll be okay. We can re-glue that down. Okay. So this is how this side of the last page is going to look. Let's flip this over. So on the back side, what we have here is a 4 3/4 by 4.5 right here piece. And I thought what we would do is add another piece to mirror this. It will measure 5 1/4 by 4.5. We're going to bring in the scoreboard and we're going to score on the long side at 1/2 inch. We're going to open this up. We're going to adhere this down to this side. We're going to add adhesive to the back side, right? Now when you add this, you're going to put it all the way down to the bottom of our page. And you're going to line up the score line at the edge of our page. So as you can see here, it should line up perfectly with the score line that's already there. I'm going to go ahead and fold back on that just to make sure. And burnish. This is going to fold over top of it, so I would re-burnish this so that everything is laying flat. So we go flip, flip. Now, if you didn't want this piece to be 4 3/4 inches wide, you could make a decorative edge. You could fold some of this over to make a smaller pocket. Right now, I think I'm going to leave it at that size. Okay, for the inside of our page, what we're going to do is create a side pocket over here. It'll be 2 little pockets. We're also going to add journal cards and we'll have 2 flip outs here. So this will be a fun page. So to create that, you're going to need 1 piece of cardstock that measures 6.5 by 8.5. We're going to do some scoring at 3 1/4. Rotate this once to the left and score at 4 1/4. So you've created 4 equal quadrants. And here again, what we're going to do is make a cut. And we're only going to cut this half of the cardstock. Everything else will stay intact. Now, I think I'm going to use my cutter for this. I'll bring out my small one. I'm going to line this up at 4 1/4 or use the score line that we just created. Either one works. And cut it to the score line, going across. Yeah, I'm not going to go all the way in. That makes me scared. I'll come over here and give it a little cut. Perfect. Now we can fold and burnish. So this would go here. We would line it up with the inside score line. We have 2 score lines here. It would go with the inside one, up to but not over that score line. When we actually do it, we'll be gluing this down on 3 sides and down the middle. We'll add our glue right where the score line is. So it will look like this: flip out, flip out. We have a pocket, pocket, flip out, flip out. Fun, fun, fun. Lots of flips and flaps. Yeah, I like that. Again, I think we should wait to glue that down until we do our pattern papers and such. So that is the end of the design for page 3. Due to the length of this video, which was over 6 hours, oh my gosh, you guys, what happened? I'm still working on trying to cut it down so it's more reasonable. And in the meantime, I'm going to end this video now, but if you want to go ahead and continue to prep for the rest of this tutorial, go ahead and cut out your 7x9 album chip cover and follow Tamara Merrill's lay flat cover method. I'm going to link her video down below in the description box until I get my own out there. I know I've shown you guys this many times, how to create a lay flat cover, but I'm going to refer you to her video for demonstration purposes because she has a single video out and I don't yet. Use the measurements I'm showing you here on the screen. For your 7x9 chipboard cover, you need a 9x11 wrap. For a 2x9 spine chipboard cover, you need a 5x11 cardstock wrap. Okay, now if you've been following me for a while, you know what all that means. And if not, watch Tamara's video and she will definitely explain it all. Until next time, thanks so much for joining me today. Let me know what you think down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.